Hello everyone, my name is Sam from modcrafter.com and this is Java Programming Episode 1. Today I'll be covering what is a main class and we'll be creating your first Java program. The difficulty behind today's lesson is beginner, and prerequisites before you begin this lesson is that you'll need some kind of text editing tool. For my tutorials I'll be using Netbeans, but you can use another text editing tool like Eclipse or any other program that supports Java. So once you have that set up, let's get started. Alright, so now that you have Netbeans installed, what we can do is create a new project. To do that, there's a couple different ways. The first way to do that is go to File, New Project, or you can click the New Project button on the main screen in Netbeans. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that. Once you're here, what you need to do is for the category, go ahead and select Java, and for the project, select Java Application. Don't worry about these other project settings in here or other categories, just ignore them for now. Now that you have those two selected, go ahead and hit next. You can give your project a name. I'm just going to call this Modcrafter Tutorial 1. You can select a project location to save your project, as well as the folder that contains all your code. And make sure to have create main class and set as main project checked right here in these settings as well. Once you have that set up, go ahead and click finish. After the project is generated, it should open up to the main class file here. So you can see there's a bunch of all this useless things in here that you might not understand, so let's go ahead and go over some of that stuff. Package is used to organize all your code into groups. So for this project, we have Modcrafter Tutorial 1. That is our package name. That's the package name we just set in the project settings. You can also see over here on the left hand side it lists Modcrafter Tutorial 1, and this is our package. So all of our code, especially our main class, which is Modcrafter Tutorial 1, which is, I gave that the same name, our Java file here is located under our package in our program. So this gives you an idea of the hierarchy or list of folders and directories that are in our Java program. So again, just to reiterate, a package is used to group code together. So here's a real life example. For instance, on a car, it has different types of parts on the car itself. So the engine, like the pistons and the spark plug that are inside the engine, that would all be organized in its own package. And the wheels would be organized in its own package. Even though they're all in the same program as a car, they need to be organized in different packages just to keep things organized a little bit better. That's totally up to your preference, but it would be bad programming style to have all of your files and Java files here under the same package. It's just not necessary, and it's useless, and it's just messy and unorganized. So for most of my tutorials, all the code will be under the same package, just because we won't be going into any crazy things like any crazy programs, but just keep that in mind. Organize your code using packages. Next up, we have public class Modcrafter Tutorial. Modcrafter Tutorial 1 right here is actually the class's name. It references to the same class name that we gave it in the project settings. When you create a new class, you'll have the option to set the name. So that way it'll show up right here and you'll know what the class name is for your class. Now we have these public and class. Public means it makes classes, methods, and data fields accessible from any other class. So if we had another class that wanted to reference something, we need to make sure it's public so that way we can reference it between those classes. So here's an example. I'm going to create a new Java class. I'm going to call it my class. It's going to be under Project Modcrafter Tutorial 1, and it's going to be under the package Modcrafter Tutorial 1. So we're organizing our classes into the same package. I'm going to hit Finish. Now, if I wanted to reference something from the this class Modcrafter Tutorial 1 into my new class called Main Class, that needs to be public, so that way I can access those between the classes. So we don't need this for now. I just making a point and example here. Moving on from that, we have the class here. I kind of mentioned this just before, but every Java program must contain at least a class, and it defines where your code sits. So all of our code for this class is going to reside inside of these curly braces here. So between this curly brace and this curly brace, this is what's called as a class block. So anything that resides in between these two curly braces is going to be a part of our class and is inside the class block. Moving on from that, we have public static void main. So the main method, this is called a method here. Everything in these, from this public down to this bracket, is the main method. So main method is the entry point where the application starts when the program is executed or run. So you saw in the other class that we created, it doesn't have a main class because this main method here defines our entry point into the program. So when the program is run, it'll look for code in main to start at the program. So I'm going to close out of this. So public again is it makes classes, methods, and data fields accessible from any class. Static, just keep this in the back of your mind. It's not that important for now. Static is just a class modifier. There's different other types of modifiers, but on the main method we'll have the one called static. Just ignore that for now. And we have this word void. Void makes a method not return a value. So if we had a different method that had a different value instead of void, it would return a value or a data type to us when we called that method. Since we have a type of void, this isn't going to return anything when we call that method. So we have public static void. Main, again, is the entry point of where your application and program starts when it's executed. So let's run our program for the first time. What I'm going to do is get rid of some of this code right here, and I'm going to type out system.out.println, which is line, and then in these parentheses I'm going to put double quotation marks. Let me space that out just a little bit. I want to say hello world. There we go. You can see we have quotation mark and then our words. Oops. I'm just messing things all up. Quotation mark, hello world, end quotation mark, and closing parentheses, and then semicolon. Every line that you write will end with a semicolon. So let's go ahead and run this and see what happens. To do that, what I'm going to do is hit the little green arrow button, run my main project, and we'll see down here in the console output, we have hello world, and our build was successful and no errors, which is awesome. So now, once you've done that, you have completed your very first Java program, and this concludes this tutorial. So I hope you learned something new, and next time what we'll do is we'll look into a little bit more advanced program. So I hope to see you then, and I will see you all later.